Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the right, and hello there guys and welcome everybody to the latest episode of KTea time, fourth episode of 2021. It's a very interesting, very different episode this time because we actually have a guest on the stream. But we are going to be interrogating an alliance, well, ASR officer, basically my boss in this game, who tells me what to do and when to do it. But first 30 minutes of the podcast, of the stream, we're gonna spend quickly going over the new announced champions, the new buff information, the upcoming events and things like that. Maybe not in as big of a detail as we typically do, but still, we're gonna have plenty left for next week's, and then we're gonna go about half an hour purely just interrogating Pod and listen to what he has to say about how it is to be an officer in top tier alliance in war, in AQ, what kind of duties he has, and basically how he manages everything. So before we go any further, quick few points to mention. We're gonna start here that I did manage to snag myself Strife. I placed in 186th, so you guys who are watching this right now are the persons to find out. I'm probably gonna make a video about it later, but yeah, we have a 5-star Strife. That means we're gonna have some cool content coming out in upcoming days. Last reminder is that during KT time, we do read the chat the best we can. However, we do not actively read aloud every message. We don't reply to every single message, but we're aware you guys are there. All that being said, let's say hello to Pod and Mandalorian, and let's get this stuff sorted, right? Started.
Hello.
So, Mando?
Yes.
Pod?
Howdy, fellas.
Oh, there you go.
Can you guys hear both of them all right? And are the sound levels quite alright? Because I don't want to keep on messing with that. So I'll pin this comment.
We want to make sure that you all can hear both of us correctly in the proper volumes.
Also, quick question to Sean Kennedy. You said you missed it by 15 places. What score did you put up?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. A couple mil. That doesn't help out, Sean.
Either way. So let's get all of this stuff started, and we're gonna start it off with obviously the new champions announced. We have Psycho Man and we have Super Scroll. So let's start with Pod. Which one are you more excited for and why?
Been waiting for Super Scroll for a while. I don't know if he's going to have any. He's probably not going to have any shape-shifting abilities. That's just pie in the sky. But just the combination of what the Fantastic Four can do could be crazy.
Well, hopefully so. Or it could be Sentry.
Yeah. Could
Right.
be shit.
So Mando, which one are you more excited for?
Psycho Killer. Suskase.
Okay, Mando, just
Probably Psycho Man. I want to see what he is. I think Super Scroll is going to be cool and all. We know what the Fantastic Four's abilities are, but I hope that Psycho Man, yeah, I hope he ends up being a pretty cool tech champ, because, you know, we only got one last year, which was Guardian, which was good, don't get me wrong, but before that, what was it? Guillotine and Warlock? I mean, come on, let's get some new techies in there.
It's like, for me, like, personally, let's be real, obviously, everybody should and is, and whoever knows of Marvel is more excited about Super Scroll, because he's cooler character, he has cooler abilities. History is if history is any indicator at all whatsoever, then chances are Psycho Man is gonna be somewhat busted and good, and Super Scroll is gonna be something less than that. So obviously, as well, myself, I do hope for Super Scroll a lot. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I did watch like Fantastic Four cartoons as a kid, and I didn't really follow like all the villains, and I don't know entirely that much about Super Skrull, but he looks cool, he has cool ability set, and everybody's hyped, so I'm hyping with everybody. About when it comes to Psycho Man, I have like no clue. I did not even know that that character existed. And here is my biggest fear on the inside, deep down, KT fear of the month, is his character model. He freaks me out, man. His head's too small, it just looks awkward. Looks like, I don't know, something has gone very, very wrong at some point during the design. And
you know he's a robot, right?
yeah, I am aware that he's a microscopic creature that uses robot
Yeah, it's a
suit,
microscopic creature in there.
but
so,
I'm talking about the character model of the robot.
Oh.
They had to counterbalance all the big head champions.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just feel uneasy looking at that champion. So I really hope that it's not the case where Psycho Man's like really, really good and it's like the new Ghost and you can see it in every video thumbnail and everywhere you go on defense Psycho Man, offensively Psycho Man, I'd be like, that just doesn't look quite right.
Hopefully not. You know what I mean?
Right. So ultimately we don't have the ability sets yet, so we can't discuss them properly and fully, so that's going to be definitely for the upcoming episode of KT Time next week, next Sunday.
I think that Super Skrull has enough popularity that we're going to see him bust last year's previous high arena score. I think he's going to go for the low end of like right at 70 million for the arena.
Well, yeah, because, well, that's the thing is, because arenas now are at 300, right?
Top 300.
So
yep.
the arena scores will never be as high as they used to be, especially because 5 stars means so much less than they did when those high stars
but we talked about it last time that, or at least on a stream, that Cosmic Ghost Rider went for 68 when it was the top 300.
Yeah,
and
that's the highest ever 300 full
for,
champion.
I think this one's going to be just as high as Cosmic Ghost Rider. It's going to be in the right in the low 70s probably for Super Skrull, if he ends up being good.
Yeah. Right, so let's move on to month of February. We have plenty of small little things happening. Love is a Battle Realm, we have Valentine's Day calendar, Shattered Heart Crystals, Find Love in Arenas, Valentine's cards, Lunar New Year, and a whole bunch of other things. Let's start with Pod again. What do you think and what are you most excited about next month, and what are your kind of particular points of interest? Because let's be honest, like the way and where we play the game, a lot of these things aren't really that interesting. So we can jump on the rewards here a bit. 1 second, I took a wrong screen. So forums already have posted the rewards, and some of them are underwhelming, to say the least. Like if you look at the Valentine's card plus gifting event top reward, there's pretty much 1,000 5-star hero crystal shards, and who cares about that?
Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year.
Loyalty. Always a chance to get a little loyalty. You know, top 4 tiers, loyalty is king. You can't get it anywhere. Any chance for more than you get on a weekly basis is a good thing.
Yeah, my loyalty has been slowly but surely diminishing, dropping as well. So
imagine if you boosted the way I wanted you to, it would be gone.
Like, let's face it, I boost enough. I mean, truth to be told though, when it comes to 3-minute boosts, I only use them in like big important wars, because I'm typically kind of like confident enough. And most of the time I do have like 3, 4, 5, 6 or often full stash of the 3-minute boosts, because I don't use them all that much. Only against, let's say, top opponents. But yeah, Mando, what are you looking forward to? There's tons of different things to look at.
I want those tasty crystals if they're as good as those Epoch crystals.
Well, that's the thing, because we can see exactly what's going to be in those crystals. We can go, there's going to be Archangel, Psylocke, Black Panther, Storm, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, Captain Marvel Classic, Wolverine, Cyclops, Blue, Phoenix. I'm not even going to go through all of them now, but
yeah.
But there's a lot of
but
that.
The drop rates in those crystals we had in the December event seemed like everybody left and right was pulling out all kinds of camps out of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Except
there were a ton of lucky people.
Except KT.
And Pud.
Oh, and Pud. It must have been something about your guys, being in Masters.
World War. But anyway, everybody was pulling like crazy from those crystals. But I think that there was additional flair added to, because it was only 2020 champions. And when it came to 2020 champions, there was only like a handful of champions you'd be disappointed with, right?
Well,
So
keep
if
in
you pull
mind
the
you could have
5-star
done any. You could have done any decade or any year.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but most of the people went for 2020, and what I'm saying is that in 2020 there's only like, let's say, what, 5 champions you'd be like really disappointed with, and
I
that
don't think
helped
it was more
those
the
crystals look
champions.
better.
Yeah, it was the drop rates that people were pulling 6 stars. Of course,
Yeah,
I
it was
always-
the 6-star and 5 stars that were what people were pulling. That was what we really cared about, because like a great example, my fourth one, my
Yeah, you
fourth and
pulled the
6th
6-star.
one I opened, I got a 6-star mojo, and then immediately opened 2 afterwards, popping them, and got the dupe of the 6-star mojo. So yes.
Is there certain language I'm not allowed to use on here because I'm having to hold myself back at this point?
No, you're more than welcome. You can call me a donkey raping shit eater all you want.
Okay, good to know. I pulled all 2019 from that crystal because everything I needed for my prestige
It's like
Was-
Doom or Surfer.
was in that 2019, and it remained in that 2019. Didn't
Yeah.
help me.
Well, because it had Doom, Surfer. Did it also have Namor in 2019?
It had, I think, Sunspot was in there.
Sunspot was in there for sure, yeah. So yeah, I had quite a few of the prestige champs in 2019.
Yeah, for me, I went with 2020 and I pulled 0 6-stars. I did pull a fair amount of 5-stars though, and plenty of them are like first-time dupes, so I wasn't overall too upset, but we'll see. With these crystals though, there are definitely some good pulls in there as well. Like a dupe on 6-star Tiger, I'd absolutely love that one. Pulling Thor, if there is a 6-star Thor, I don't think there is, but pulling a 6-star Thor would be cool. She-Hulk,
Pulling a 6-star Archangel.
Archangel, obviously. She-Hulk would be insanely good pull. 5-star Scarlet Witch,
Spider
I'd
Gwen.
love as well.
Human Torch.
Yeah, there are quite a lot. There's like Colossuses, Dominos, Wolverines. There are good options in there.
I think they could be really good. That's what my hope is, that it'd give you some really good ones, possibly as 6 stars to a lot of these players. They can pull the Cavalier versions of them. So that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see just as much fun stuff as we had. If the insanity of drop rates are similar to how benevolent they were in December, then that's what I'm most excited for.
And they're
All I
probably
know
going to
is
add more
Emma
shards
is
in the
a
daily
smoke
events, daily offers.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Pud, you were
Wait,
trying
would
to
you
say
say?
anything?
Would you say, Pud?
I was saying, how is Emma not in one of those romance things?
Yeah, I was wondering
She's
that
the
too.
smoke show.
Yeah, because she's normally in with Cyclops all the time.
Yeah, well.
Because we even
But
said
wait,
last
wasn't
week when
she
we were
in there,
guessing.
like last year? I think she was in like Valentine's last year. I remember
She
somebody
was, yeah.
pull it.
I remember her being in there. So maybe they messed up and didn't list all of them.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that is definitely the case. Let me quickly find out, actually. We might have dug something. I'm gonna jump in onto May and I'm gonna check her synergies. So,
Okay.
champion info.
Well, not only that, Namor should be on there with Invisible Woman.
Namor
as well.
was mentioned separately. That rumor has it, whatever.
Oh, was? I didn't see that.
Yeah. Where's Emma? Where's
Because I need
Emma?
to dupe my Namor. I need to dupe my 6-star Namor, please. Unlike some KT1 out there that did that.
She has that. It's complicated synergy.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
even so,
no.
then Mr. Fantastic Invisible Woman should
Oh,
be
she
on
should be there. She should be there. Note.
there.
Oh. Oh. List of. I don't know. Because in like
It's
one
kinda
part
like
they
Just Friends.
count romance, it's complicated, just friends until death do us part synergies. And then here she just lists the romance synergies.
It just says that if you defeat them.
Yeah,
that
I
you'll
know. So it's gonna count for that, but I guess not in here because she just has that complicated thing.
So stupid. Well, it will definitely be interesting to see what happens. Either way, I'm still excited about the crystals.
Yeah, I think overall February is gonna feel a lot quicker and a lot more alive.
It's a shorter month too.
Largely because we're gonna have these like Valentine's card. I know a lot of them aren't like too much, and we're gonna have special login calendar. We're gonna have those Deadpool juices and whatever, and that quest, obviously the entire month side quest, which you can unlock week by week. It's gonna be romance arena, some solo objectives, and yeah, I think overall like there are kind of like 2-3 events per week going on pretty much at the same time. So that's definitely gonna be a good change. Because let's face it, January was so boring.
They should have held off like variant or 7.1 for January because they screwed us by having them all in December. I mean,
December was a massive. I mean,
yeah,
you couldn't do it all. It was glorious, but yeah, they probably could have spread it out a little bit.
Like especially the overall feeling in ASR is such as, well, it's just dead. The chat's dead for most of the time unless there's like some sort of Wall Street crisis happening or something. And
yeah,
just like Alliance War is off season. The only Alliance quest. End of the month, like all of your events are done and whatnot. And the side event this month was woefully awful.
yeah. But I will say we did predict last week what everything was going to be pretty much, except for the knowing the calendar of epoch crystals and all that, or not epoch, but you know they're calling self-love crystals or whatever hell, Shatterheart crystals. That's what it was. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on then to juicier stuff, shall we?
Yeah. Let's go.
Champion bounce. We have information about all 4 of them now.
Yep.
So we're gonna discuss all 4 champions, but we're gonna give Todd the honor of saying what he thinks of the one that he thinks looks most promising. So I can pick the champion we're gonna talk to first, and then we're gonna start talking about it.
So on the descriptions I've seen for Yellow Jacket, they don't tell me what it does, building up the nuclear charges.
It does. 1 second, I'll pull it up here. I can have them in front of me right now. So we're looking for Yellow Jackets. Here we go, Yellow Jacket changes. And those nuclear core things, basically, you start at 40, and 100 is, well, when you go into your overload. What they do is reduce enemies' regen rate and increase potency of personal debuffs by 1% for each charge. Then you have 60% chance to gain charge by hitting the opponent or getting hit, and 10 charges are gained when opponent launches special attack. Basically, they reduce opponent's regen up to 100% or slightly above 100% if you're over. And then they also make your debuffs more potent.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just not sure that's going to hit the mark as far as what people are wanting from a Yellow Jacket. I don't know. We're curious to see if any of his animations have changed. I know they don't do that a lot, or hardly at all. But if I strike him from the one I'm most interested in, it's got to be Kingpin. I mean, you got some damage potential on him. He can hit like a truck. Flopping that big fat belly on heavies over and over again in the corner.
If he still has that synergy with Mr. Sinister, which again is annoying that he has to have synergy, then he can go ahead and flop quite freely.
Yeah, I think he does. I think it changed, but he didn't have. I don't know if it's exactly the same. I know he has the synergy still, but I don't know if it's the exact same one as it was.
Yeah, so about Kingpin. So okay, let's quickly go over it. Basically, he's also 4th highest prestige champion in skill class right now. They have reduced his base regen rate to 50%, but that is because he spends entire fight with the debuff on pretty much. And he gets willpower heal. And unlike Daredevil, you can actually run him with suicides because he has a good chance on his base to shrug off the suicide debuff. And then you're just going to be netting heal, especially if poison's gone. He's also immune to all regen modifying effects except poison, so he can be a Spectre option, just like Mortal Hulk, just like Netflix Daredevil. And then vast majority of his kit is actually fairly similar, just somewhat better than it was. He has 60% chance to purify non-rage debuffs and gain 1 rage. Cooldown is half a second. If he takes any damage at all, he gains 1 rage. There is a long cooldown of 20 seconds for that. Then he gains rage if opponent evades or auto blocks. which I don't like that ability, because it doesn't prevent that happening. So if opponent awaits, you gain rage, fair enough, but you're gonna get smacked in the face probably. And one of the bigger things probably is incoming debuffs. Each increase his attack by 30% and common power rate by 5%. And his overpower basically does the same thing, just more damage, 200%, 250%. And the rest of the stuff is, well, special attacks are pretty much the same as they were. And then enter the fight with 4 rage active, if that's his awakened ability. And when overpower ends, he has chance to gain more rages.
I think we're going to see, now that those rage, now it's an active debuff and not the passive that it was before, you're going to see him on redoubled determination, because those also increase his power
kind of
rate.
like immortal.
And you know Kabam is going to put him on redoubled determination in a couple of places, and
Oh yeah,
some of the upcoming content that's going to make him a pain.
it's gonna make him a dick, and the dick pain.
But I don't know. I know he's gonna put up some big numbers. If they are crazy big, maybe I'll be impressed. But other than that, everything else he does, I'm not too cool with. He has a synergy with Joe Fixit and Hood, where he improves his shrug off to 100%.
Yeah.
That's cool. I really wish that would be in his base kit. Then I'd be really hyped.
Yeah, that would have been nice if it was in his base, but it may have made him a little bit too more powerful, and that way it gives him that synergy. And I'll tell you, most of the time when I play Kingpin, at least in Arena, I've always paired him with the Hood, so that's kind of nice.
Kingpin's gonna be one beyond. Is what chat is saying.
Yeah.
He's an overweight bald guy. He wasn't supposed to be too overpowered.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something. Obviously, my opinion might change when we see him actually get used. I'm not that. I know he's gonna hit hard, but the thing in Model Concept Champions right now is we have plenty of champions who hit hard.
We need the utilities.
Green utilities and hard hitting.
Yes.
So I'm not sure. There will obviously be some niche scenarios where you're definitely gonna be able to make him shine. But I don't think I'm gonna invest any resources in my 5 or 6 star Kingpin.
I mean, with him and with the Daredevil, or not the Daredevil, the Hood synergy, you're gonna take it. You could take him on shifting hazards, something like that. He eat that up. He's an extra large champion, so you'd be knocking him down. You wouldn't have to worry about protect.
That would be, he'd be excellent for shifting hazards.
Although you really want both those guys on your team.
Maybe, but
if you're backup, maybe.
He has like that half a second cooldown, right? So if you like hit your regular combos, then some divas still probably will sneak through.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm personally not too keen on him. There might be some uses. As Spud mentioned, like just the fact that he's good for shifting hazards is already valuable. It's definitely going to be more annoying in some place in defense. We have already Integral in chat here, who's also from ASR, who has a rank 3 Kingpin apparently. So.
Oh, he does? Wow, that's going to see some kills going up, I bet, on certain nodes.
Right, so Mando, take your pick. Which champion are you going to tackle?
Well, KT, I've got 2 words for you, okay? And that is Moldman!
There's Terrax, Moldman change. Here we go. Whoops, wrong thing again.
But I think Moldman is going to be much fun to play, and he's going to be much fun to pummel, and much fun for damage, and much fun for everything. And pretty much, you have the ability to maybe keep your monster mass up the entire time.
Yeah, you definitely
with
can do
heavies and such.
He was already the skill Corvus.
He's now going to be the skill Corvus Plus.
Thing is, I have a 6-star Unduke Moldman. I'm kind of tempted to rank 3 the guy.
I would wait until after obviously see him in action, but he has potential. He has potential, man. I think he has the greatest potential out of all we've seen so far.
I also think that... Okay, there are 2 things. I think it's either going to be Moleman, he's going to be most useful, or... And that's 100% dependent on Yellow Jacket's damage. how bad is it. If it's tolerable, then Yellow Jacket looks alright.
Yeah.
It really,
And you know
really
what?
depends on damage.
The sad thing is I have all the champions at 6-star except for Mole Man, and he's the one I'm most excited about now.
Right. Okay, so Mole Man changes. Heavy monster mass, basically you gain 4 instead of 1 on your heavy attack, so bleed on crit is more potent. Bleed duration has been slightly reduced. Well, reduced. Frenzy duration has been increased from 1.2 to 2%. Then you have total monster mass increased to 20 from 15. And true accuracy now lasts till 10 monster mass, but it removes itself if you're in frenzy, I believe. And then special 2 damage is higher. Right.
Yeah,
so,
it does do that. It does remove the true accuracy if you're in frenzy, but I mean, just the fact that you can deal with a lot of these annoying like spider champ evaders and such, and you know, it's almost, well, it's double than what it used to be. Plus the fact that the even though the bleed duration went down, the bleeds now are a little more potent. Plus, if you have deep wounds, it's going to be even better for that. I just think he's going to be a lot more rounded, for lack of a better word.
I don't know. I'll definitely play both of him. He has piqued my interest for sure. A bit more.
I only have him as a rank 3 5-star, but he is awakened, so I'm looking forward to trying seeing how he is.
But
I don't think I'm going to increase his rank up, but if I got him as a 6-star, I could possibly, if I like playing with him, I could possibly see myself ranking him up in the future.
So yeah,
what do you think, Pud?
I just never ranked him enough to play with him, so I only know him as a defender, and so I'm not sure how this is going to affect that much. I mean, I fought him twice in the war yesterday.
Yeah. Well, maybe this will make it. Maybe he'll feel like a brand new champion to you, since it's somebody you've never really played with.
Yeah.
I think on defense, it's pretty much exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But
he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna be much of a difference when you're fighting him on defense, other than the fact that, like, his special 2 is not gonna be based on HP. So if he fires that off at you, you know, it could do more damage to you if you block it or something, or eat it.
I know. Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. But Mole Man has piqued my interest. There might be a version, because I know Pod needs a Mole Man on defense as well, don't you?
Do we need one of those?
I'm quite sure we need Mole Man.
Ooh, maybe KTea may do a rank up with the Mole Man soon.
I might. He's unduped, but still.
I don't think his duped ability really makes it. Did they say it wasn't changing from what it was, right?
I think it wasn't. It's basically more attack, more damage, the lower his health.
Yeah, what his... Here, I'll tell you what his... I'm looking at him right now. Basically what it does is it increases his critical damage rating based on the missing health up to a certain amount, and his attack rating when he's unstoppable based on missing health. Now, I don't know if they changed that at all, but they may have changed it where it just won't change it based on missing health, because they took that away from the special 2 also, but... either way, you know, all it's doing is giving a little bit more damage.
Either way.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to pull that trigger on a 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I don't think you're going to need it, though, that much. Especially if you can't throw the 6 zones in there.
Yeah.
We've got one on defense.
Oh, we got one. But no. So it might not be Mole Man. And, okay, so we're going to talk about what I find interesting now. And that's going to be Yellow Jacket. Wait, did we talk about Yellow Jacket already?
I think I kind of did.
Well,
anyways, you're more than welcome to talk to him more.
For me, Yellow Jacket... Okay, Mole Man probably looks the most interesting. The Yellow Jacket, however, also looks quite exciting to me, depending his damage. She doesn't really seem to have much damage at all. And no kind of like artificial ways to increase it. He doesn't have like bleed or poison resistance. He has energy and physical resistance, and so he's not gonna be suicide friendly. So I'm not gonna like that too much. The thing is,
I think that's the highest, if not one of the highest, energy damage resistance in the game, though.
In base, yes, I think it is, because I think.
Oh yeah, at base, yeah.
It's 6 high, but I'm still kind of hopeful with Yellow Jacket, depending his damage is just good enough. I don't need him to be like crazy amount of damage, but that can be a deal breaker. It's kind of like what it was with Terrax. Like, if Terrax damage is as bad as this, that nothing else he does matters, because like, why the hell would you use Terrax for anything if it didn't hit hard at all? And it's gonna be similar to Yellow Jacket. If he doesn't hit hard enough, then why the hell you would want to use him as your utility option if you can find something similar that just finishes fights quicker? But if his damage is passable, acceptable to a degree, I like Yellow Jacket. The biggest problem I would have with Yellow Jacket is the fact that he would kind of rely on super high sig levels. And that kind of would make me maybe want to rank up 5-star instead of 6-star, which is something I don't want to do.
Sounds like he's going to be more comparable to Guardian in that way, in his resistances and the need for a high sig.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also,
of course,
there's an interesting thing. If his special 3 powers thing stacks, then he could eventually end up being a really good damage option for longer fights as well.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because his special 3 inflict an indefinite power sting, dealing 215% of modified attack on enemy special activations, right? But if you can stack it, picture that, put on Suicide Mastery so you don't suffer from recall. So that's going to be huge attack boost there. The 215% can turn into 430% if you're at 100 of your nuclear cores or whatever. And if he's max sig, it's guaranteed it will always reapply itself every time opponent uses special attack. So you're going to take a ton of damage every time they use special attack. If you can stack that, then in theory, he could be an animal for a long-term content as well. Because every time you get level 3, you just drop those exclusively and bait out opponent's special attacks, and they just get a ton of damage. That's again, whether that stacks, which we do not know.
It'd be interesting to see. I don't see why it wouldn't stack, but yeah.
My thing with his L1 and that power sting, by the time you fire it, and you're waiting for them to use a special, it doesn't. The stun doesn't do you any good.
Yeah,
because
right.
They're usually at 2 bars or something like that, and you can't heal them anyway. So I'm like,
that sig ability outside of special 3 thing is just pointless, because that stun is more often hindering you and slowing. It's kind of like sometimes in Archangel, right? When you have too many neurotoxins expiring at the wrong time, you just stand there waiting for opponents or special. You needed like a count or something on that sig, like inflict count on special 1 on the sig.
Oh gosh, a taunt would be amazing.
And
it would go well with everything else he does. Yeah,
exactly. And special 2.
I wonder why they didn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. And special 2 is kind of pointless a bit as well there. At all, 5 charge is like nothing. But his heavy attack has slow, so think about it. He's a champion who has huge energy resist, huge physical resist, and access to slow, and basically mitigates healing by default. So there's a ton of things in there. And I'm very interested in that kit if it doesn't hit like a noodle. That's like the biggest thing. With damage, like, I'm gonna play around with him, and if I'm gonna find it acceptable, I will take the guy to rank 3. Because I like a lot of things I see in there. But if he hits like noodle, then no, what's the point? So just whether he hits quite hard enough to be there. Okay, and then we have last one that nobody wanted to talk about, and that is Terrax.
Which, not because nobody wanted to talk to it, just because you told us to pick the one that we want.
Well, yeah, I get
Terrax...
okay, let's face it, this is real life. There are winners and there are losers, and this time Terrax turned out to be the loser. There are 4 people in competition, and 3 of them get medals. Then the person placing in 4th is not,
I don't think he's the worst. I think he's kind of.
You're talking about somebody I already have at rank 3. Be gentle.
Yeah, I think he's still. He's still gonna have he's gonna have more damage now, which is good. He needed more damage.
Lot more damage.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think he's going to be the high damage dealer we wanted him to be. I think someone said it best earlier. He's going to be the cosmic court. Wait a minute.
No one said that.
No one said no.
I know. It was the joke because Corvus is cosmic.
If anything, he's like compared to Omega Red a couple of times.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they did something else, like kind of like if how like he's bleed immune, for example, like if he did kind of what Namor does if they're attacking into him, if he's bleed immune and they're bleeding him, that it like reflects it back to him, which would be awesome. That could have been something really cool. I would have loved that. Like, that one little change there would have probably made him even better, I think. Or, like, you know how metal champions can't, like, power steal him and whatnot? Like, what if instead of that, also have it where when they try and power steal him, it works the opposite way and he steals part of their power or something. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been so cool to have, like, a reversal of what we're expecting to happen if you screw up and use it against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ultimately, I do think he's going to be a lot better than he was.
Yeah, he will.
All I know is that if you using him in a fight, my rank 3 Cosmic Champion crits for 1500.
Yeah, that's right. Good, the big old 1500 boy. You better be loving it every minute, you know?
His armor breaks are 5 times as potent. Durations increase pretty much double, so you can actually keep 10 and stack 10 and fight with 10 armor breaks an opponent. You inflict them quicker. You gain more rock-field bonus damage on a heavy attack, and I saw that heavy attack, I think is a rank 5 5-star. The Suicide Masters deal like 35, 42k damage. So that's something. And you have Special 3 armor break is more potent. Heavy power drain is 50% for bar power. But the biggest thing I think was when you have him ramped up, if you take like a big special and a block, you don't take damage for it, right? And you can drop a heavy attack when you're like then about at 2 bars of power, artificially exiting your rock field, and then drop a level 2 again to gain that power gain, and you can basically spam your level 2s back to back to back. The idea is you drop a level 2, you finish a combo with light attack, refresh armor breaks, drop a heavy attack, and then you add 2 bars of power still, and you drop another level 2.
Right.
So it could be actually quite interesting, because I did like quite a few bits of Terrax damage, but he was so pathetic. I feel so sorry for Pod who had him rank 3. Because he was so pathetic, man. Ebony Maw looks shredded next to Terrax when we're talking damage.
I know they're raising the prestige of some of these other guys. Are they going to change Terrax's prestige?
No, they're not changing Terrax and Moleman prestige, I believe.
Yeah, Terrax and Moleman, they're so new, I think they're not touching them. It's only Kingpin and Yellow Jacket that's changing because they're older champions. Went like 300 points higher.
In class now.
Yeah, he's the 7th in class, 300 up from Max Sig. 300 points.
Kingpin is 4th in his class prestige-wise now. So both of them, well, especially Kingpin's quite high up there.
Yeah, he's up there, which is good. Some of these older champs, their prestige was not scaling with the newer champions that came out after him.
Mm-hmm.
Ebony Maw is not good, by the way, Credo. But yeah, I do. Someone said it earlier. I don't know who it was, but they said that why didn't they just give Yellow Jacket Innervate? It would have been so much nice.
Oh yeah. No, Innervate I think kind of contradicts because you want the opponent to use special attacks. So I think Taunt would have been.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
The Taunt would have been the way to go.
Taunt.
That's true. No, it was Taunt. Taunt would be better. That's right. You're right. I forgot what Innervate did. That's how shows how stupid I am sometimes. This is why I'm not Masters, guys.
Right, but now I believe it's a time we can interrogate Pod.
I got my grilling fork out.
Let's
do this.
Very good.
Hold on, let me get under a bright light. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah. You do that yourself and slap yourself when I tell you.
Alright, I'm gonna put these banana clips on your nipples and let me just tell me when to connect the battery. Okay, KT?
Right. So, tell me, Mr. Pod, what is that? Well, not me, actually. I know what you do, but tell our viewers, what is that exactly that you do in Alliance, what you are in charge of, and yeah.
So I am one of the officers in Battle Group 2. So for Battle Group specific, I handle Alliance War Attack. I do all the assignments and try to be hall monitor, tell people when to go and who needs to go, who's open, and all that kind of thing. That's what I do for Battle Group 2. Of course, there's also, every officer does, we're all involved in personnel and recruiting and monitoring the performance of everybody in throughout the alliance. I maintain the war statistics for Battle Group 2, see who's doing what and where we need to improve, and kind of keep track of everything.
Keep track of everything. Who was the only guy in your battle group that went deathless the entire season?
Subject to great playing, it was KT1.
Oh.
Lies and misinformation, but yes. What? Stop giving him the easy path. What are you giving him? Path 8?
Path
3?
Three.
Yeah.
He gave me path 3 like twice. I was so mad about it.
Are you like, oh, poor me, I'm on path 3.
I bitched both times in the videos, like when I uploaded the war. I was like, fucking training wheel path.
I put him on path 1, and then I don't have to think about it ever again. You know, you got 50 nodes to think about, and if there's one that you can just put away and not have to worry about, it makes the rest of the map just open up and easier to think about.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm a useful member of the team.
Yeah, you're a useful member of society. Great for you, KT. We didn't bring him on to have him stroke your ego more than it already needed. We don't need that.
I know. Right. So, so your alliance war attack, right? Exactly. How do you approach that, Sanjay? Let's say you're starting an alliance war now. What's your go-to plan of action?
Yeah. So there really is a lot of factors when you open up the map, and the very first thing you do is you check out the boss, and you think to yourself, okay, how are we going to get here? Check out the minis and what the global is going to be. And you know, I kind of when we're it's less about the paths and more about who's on them, because I mean, if you ask anybody and think about the roster you used, KT1, it's pretty much the same. Once I get a comfort level that you know that, hey, these are the best champs you have, and these are the ones that I know that you're comfortable with, I don't change it that much. I mean, ask Borba how many times he's walked into war without a Mega Red. Happens pretty much every time, because I don't have to think about it. I know he's great with the Mega Red. And I don't have to worry about thinking that he might mess up on a Mega Red path. The one shortfall in that is a lot of times people want to use champs that I might not have, so I might not be as familiar. So they don't even cross my mind when it comes into war planning. So I ask people whenever I put out a plan, I'm like, if you've got anything you want to talk about, let's talk about it. We can make some changes. Just because I didn't think about it.
You never said that to me.
Go. Hey, you got Quake. That's all you need. So yeah, the other things I'm looking at is I'm trying to manage the amount of fights for everybody. Trying to make sure people can get into a rhythm and have enough fights, because you know it's tough. You know, if you haven't fought, if you've only had 2 fights in a couple of wars and you've been the backup and suddenly we need you, man, that next fight you take is so much harder than if you've had 5 fights, 6 fights, and you know, it's just part of a rhythm. And so trying to keep everybody on their toes and keeping them reflexes sharp is something we think about. You know, as far as the map and the nodes itself, I mean, we're 7 seasons deep into it now, so we're not having to read nodes. Everybody knows what every node does. It's not something where you're having to remind somebody about too much on a node. That happens when the map changes and you have you know, the first season or 2, you have to remind people what's going on and make sure you know what's going on. But now it really doesn't. So it has gotten a lot easier from that standpoint, because everybody knows what you're looking at.
Well, we do have some changes now happening though. We do have no more. Well, we don't have any more stubborn. Yeah, we don't have stubborn, which we knew like back of our hands. Like stubborn, like I did not find stubborn hard at this point anymore at all. We do have protect that we had some experience facing on, and we do have the new defensive tactic.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how if anybody uses a new defensive tactic. It's kind of like when they put out Protect, no one used it for a season and a half. First time we saw Protect was I think it was a war against Kenobi,
Like 2 seasons ago.
and suddenly my war planning, which normally takes an hour and a half, took 2.5 hours because it just had to rethink everything I did and So I think the new node, it doesn't look more difficult, but yeah, it'll take twice as long to plan for the first few times we face it.
What do you feel like is going to be the node that people will be using, like how they did with Stubborn, the most in the majority of wars now?
The node or the path?
No, the tactic. I'm sorry.
Oh, I think it'll be Protect. That's what we're seeing, which just means everybody who are Quakers are going to be salivating because I think everybody's going to be using Protect. Of course, if they go back to using Bulwark, you can still Quake that.
Right.
They've really made the whole thing Quake friendly again.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah,
I'm a little
K9,
surprised if they did that.
$19.99.
What did you also think about the fact that Kabam, when they released the updates to the tactics, how they said they were trying not to just increase the top champions, and they were trying to focus on the ones that don't just get stronger, but like to help elevate some of the lower ones. But then they started listing champions like Guillotine 2099 and things like that. What did you think about that?
It's a little bit of lip service. I mean, a large champ's going to be a large champ. And to say that not Kingpin, the Thing and Fury and such are harder than any node, they don't need the defensive tactic. I mean, I'm sure that's the case at some levels, but it's really not at ours at this point. So the Nick Fury, once you take Stubborn off him, he's not that big of a deal. So we managed just fine. So yeah, it's a little bit of lip service. I'm sure they'll still make, they'll still put funny nodes on Mojo, and if whatever the next hard defender is, he'll somehow sneak right into that tactic.
Sure. What
And
do you think?
that's okay, because if you're only dying 2, 3, 4 times a war, it's okay if they spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, understandable. What do you think? Because it's been a while. Like, how long have you been in Masters now?
I've been in and out of Masters for I've been 18 out of the last 20 seasons.
Okay, 18 of the last 20 seasons. So it's been a while since you've been in platinum anything.
Hey, I've got my alt Psylord 1-2 sitting out there right now. We did Gold 1 this season.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're still playing in the lower wars in a different account.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask you, what is some advice you could give some officers or even just other players to help kind of get them in that mindset or in that in that thought process to start pushing to the next level? What are some of the best things you could tell them?
Become a specialist. Get one champ, become great at it, because you're going to, depending on the champ, if you're going to go Omega Red, there's always going to be a path for you. If you're good with G99, always going to be a path for you. And know that, hey, this guy, Joe over here, he always used G99. I'm putting him on 4 and 7, and he's going to do it. He's going to do it fine. And so don't think that everybody needs to know how to use every champion. I know Kabam always says, hey, they want you to use a bunch of different options. It really doesn't happen. KT1 had a series about the champions that are brought into war the most. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's Warlock. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I wanted to say, I myself, well, I don't know if I'm specialist with anything in particular, but typically for an entire war season, end up using like 5 champions. And then maybe in like an odd straggler for one war, there's some very dodgy placement, like a weird spider character on some node or something else. And like, let's say if you can't crack it, but typically the entire season pretty much goes with Warlock, Human Torch, Doctor Doom, Quake. Is there anything else that I bring ever?
Well, and that's a bit like I was saying earlier. I assign the champs I know too. So if you've got a Cosmic Ghost Rider, and God knows when I'll see one of those, I'm not going to know what to do with it. You might want to remind me that, hey,
Yeah.
this guy's really good at this, and you should probably send him. Or so when I have Riz using Professor X, it took me a good bit to know that, hey, this is what he does, because, again, it's not somebody I've seen being able to use. But now I have some comfort level assigning him. So who else do you want to use, KT1? Maybe we can get you a little diversity in there.
I think I'm decent with Professor X. Yeah, I have that chat. I know.
We
I
had
like to
we had a
think
little
that-
question. I think this is a good question to ask from the chats. They want to ask, as an officer, what are your thoughts on them on Kabam removing those linked nodes, except for the boss island?
I mean, we're very organized up in master level, so it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And most of those, probably of the 18 nodes, we could take 14 of them linked and not even blink an eye at it. But certainly in my Alt Alliance, it's much better and makes being able to navigate around and not having to wait a good thing, because I'm not on that account as often as I am my main. So not having to wait is a good thing there. It doesn't affect ASR. We just are plowing through most of those anyway. Although if you plow through one and you die, you get yelled at. But
sure,
I'm actually kind of
anyway.
annoyed by them removing some of those, because it kind of gave another level of depth. Because quite frequently you use those linked nodes to get some benefits out on. Like, if you fill a bar of power, you gain like power sting debuff. If you're using a champion that doesn't need specials for that fight, you get some free willpower heal. On the right side, there was a rich get richer node. So if opponents play somebody like Nick Fury, who generally doesn't gain buffs aside from like one Fury buff and like the power gain buff that he got from Powerful from Afar, and you bring in champion who has more buffs, or at least 2 buffs at pretty much all the time, you could just make the fight easier for yourself. So
yeah, we're using Warlock against Thing or something like that.
Yeah, so
you're always gaining power.
Ultimately, I can agree that there will be a lot of alliances who benefit, but for like us specifically in like top end situation, I don't think it was a good change at all.
Yeah, I told KT, we talked about that kind of in depth last weekend on the KT time about that, and I said they should have just made it an alliance thing where you could decide, yes, I want links, or no, I don't. Not just a all or nothing kind of thing. I think variety is the spice of life kind of thing, and that's why I think that Kabam should really think about those things. Allow us to choose what we do and do not want to have versus just deciding for us. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
You don't support communism?
No, I guess as an American, I don't support communism. Imagine that.
They're not going to give us those options. It's their way or the highway on that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Do you do
it's just
anything
I
for
think
Alliance Quest, by the way?
What's that?
We're gonna get back to Alliance War in a bit, and we're gonna have a bit of Q&A to the guys who are listening right now. So if you have any questions, you can save them for a bit. We're gonna try and get Pod kind of like a quick fire round towards the end. But is there anything you do about Alliance War?
Alliance Quest, you mean?
So yeah, Alliance Quest, my bad.
Hall monitor, traffic cop.
Traffic cop.
Just try to let people know when they're clear, when they need to get moving. Trying to light a fire into people. I'm the king of line calling. No one ever answers my line call. It's kind of depressing. I just want to have a conversation.
So like a lot of people often have a lot of questions about how Alliance Quest is done in like higher tier alliances, and I wanted to kind of quickly mention, because like when you moved up an alliance, a lot of people have never had that experience where, for instance, you have been given set champions you have to place on defense. So non-negotiable pretty much, right? And then also you get given champions that you have to bring in Alliance War attack. And I wanted to point out that for us, at the very least, in Alliance Quest, you kind of get given a bit more autonomy, and it's like up to you. You kind of bring in whoever you want, even though people often get smacked on their back if they never bring in anything for mini bosses and bosses. But there is that difference where Alliance War, it's much more strictly regulated in terms of these are the champions that we need ranked up. Who wants to rank them up? It's kind of voluntary, like who you have, who you can do. But these are the champions that you have and you are placing on defense, non-negotiables. Like, oh, I want to use Corvus for Alliance Quest. No, you're placing him on defense, whatever. And then there are champions that you have for offense. But when it comes to Alliance Quest, that doesn't get dictated like at all. It's like up to you. Whatever you have left over, basically, that is who you can bring in. And there is that difference in mentality as well compared from Alliance War to Alliance Quest. Like, nobody cares if you're going to use 10 items because you brought in wrong champions. That's on you. You're stupid. In Alliance War, obviously, everybody will care if you die and use all of your items. So there's a difference where Alliance Quest, you're kind of like a bit more on your own. You get given a path. These are your paths. Go and do them. How you do them, no, it's nobody's business, really. You can ask, obviously, for advice always, and people will give it to you.
But we will laugh at you if you do.
Hmm?
I said we will laugh at you if you ask for advice.
Yeah, but you get laughed at if you don't know how to do Alliance Quest. But Alliance War is kind of like very, very different from that entire experience, where Alliance War, there's like no messing about. You boost stuff. It's kind of like a bit of an army. It's like you go there, you do that exactly as I told you to do it, and if you mess up, I'm gonna bark at you for like half an hour. Alliance Quest is much different. Alliance Quest, people laugh at you, but nobody's like, oh my god, I can't believe he died, and you don't feel bad if you mess up either. I have had like weeks in Alliance Quest when I die a bunch of times because I play bad or whatever. But that's kind of.
Hell,
like
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, though, once you get to the higher, like definitely you guys, but like even when you get to the higher Alliance quests, like even top 150, let's say, you probably don't have to tell people like where to go, where to move. You don't have to babysit as much. I mean, there are some places where you do, and those people don't belong there, and that's the case in my opinion. But I don't think I feel like if you get in a good alliance where there's not a lot of turnover and such, you just have people that do your job. As long as you're communicating where to, when you're clear and stuff, like, and when you clear someone else, I kind of feel like Alliance Quest just kind of does itself. You know what I mean?
It should.
It should, yeah.
It's a necessary evil. It's the fuel that pumps the engine of ranking champs and of prestige. We don't pay attention to it as much because when was the last time your heart got racing because of an Alliance Quest fight?
Never.
That doesn't happen. You get involved toward the end of a close war, and it's not about skill sometimes at that point. It's about who can not let their war nerves get out of control, and who can keep it calm, because we all have skill. Mostly it's shaky hands that cause you to mess up at the end of some of these really, really close wars. Doesn't happen in Alliance Quest. It's just the fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that's
why
what
I love Alliance
being
War,
an
because
officer
it can get your heart racing, and you definitely do need some nerves in like very, very close wars.
Oh, the funny thing is you can see it when you're watching somebody's video. You can you're not even in the fight, but I can look at that video and say, oh man, his nerves. He's responding to parry too slow, and suddenly he doesn't get his heavy in from Archangel because he took too long, and you can feel it just by watching the video, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna die a few times.
That's another thing, is like vast majority of our guys, if not all, record the fights. It's not necessarily a requirement, but it's kind of like a habit that everybody's gotten into, just so you can show if something went wrong, exactly what went wrong, or if everything went perfect, so you can show how it's done, kind of thing.
Yeah, my theory on recording is you either do it every single time or never. Because if you suddenly decide, hey, I'm going to record this one fight, and then suddenly you've given yourself just one more thing to think about that's outside of one more little set of nerves, and it's all or nothing. Yeah, you either do it every time. Nope, we don't want to see it.
This question came in. It's a pretty good one. It said, do you guys think that Alliance War is good for the game? They feel that it destroys some alliances and creates rifts.
Well, it does separate the goals of different individuals within alliances, and it kind of shows how you need to be situated with somebody who has the same priorities that you do. So does it create rifts? Yeah, I'm sure it does. are those rifts worth it for what the game does for a lot of people and a lot of users? I think so. And if that rift happens, you have to take that opportunity to put yourself with somebody who's shooting for the same thing you are, maybe the same skill level, the same abilities.
Yeah, I think where it becomes a problem, like where they're seeing, is when you're in an alliance, and for the longest time this alliance is done, like maybe they've taken more like a relaxed look at wars, like they haven't really tried to push, but then they decide as a collective whole, the majority decide, let's push now, and the leadership is saying we're going to push in wars now, and you have some membership or some members there that have been there for a long time when that wasn't the case. Their goals don't align anymore, and I think it's because leadership doesn't want to just replace those people. They try and work with it, and I think it causes more issues than it does just to separate cleanly, because granted, it's hard to find a good alliance sometimes. We kind of talked about this before the
Right.
stream started, but
Like, my
Yeah.
quick
But I mean-
input in that is that I personally believe that Alliance War should be the competitive game mode that it is. There definitely should be some changes done to it, but ultimately I think Alliance War has to be presented in a way where it's not a mandatory, where it's very beneficial to do it even relatively casually, but it's not like a must-have kind of have thing. I think a lot of toxicity at Alliance Wars still stem from the very early Alliance War seasons, where that was the alpha and omega when it came to endgame rewards. AQ didn't offer UTF-5 basics, nothing pretty much did, and that was a place where you can get significant amount, and whoever got the top kind of like was very far ahead. But I think Alliance War as such should be maybe not necessarily what incursions are in many people's minds, but something similar to it, where it's not something that your alliance has to focus on. It's kind of like nice thing to do. There's obviously that very, very top shelf kind of like competitive aspect to it. And then if you want like casually, you can, but nothing bad happens if you don't. I think Alliance Quest is what we have accepted as kind of like the grind game mode that everybody has to do. That's like bread and butter. There are more worthwhile rewards. And I think even further, they should probably take out all the catalysts from Alliance War and focus it solely on like shards and or sig stones and things like that that have a different side to the game, where you acquire extra resources. What's the best way to put it? Like, if you don't play Alliance Quest, you get no glory, you get no catalyst, and you pretty much get stuck until like a big piece of content comes out. But let's say if you want to do AQ and don't want to do AW, you still get the shards and everything else from all other pieces of content. It's just from Alliance where you get a substantial chunk on top of that, if that is something that you chose to do. So I think there are some changes that definitely has to be made, but ultimately, I think Alliance War is kind of maybe headed in the right direction from where it was, and as well, Alliance War is the only thing that keeps a lot more competitive players playing, especially towards endgame. So I think it's a necessary evil to a degree. Not always fan of it. There have been times when it's too stale, too boring, or too something, but that's that.
What were we gonna say?
Yeah, when you mention somebody, when they change their priorities, they went from a relaxed war focus to wanting to push. Once you go relaxed, I don't think you come back. You might on an individual basis, sure, but not as an alliance. You can't trying to shift 30 people's perspective because maybe the leadership wants to do so. It's just it would be very difficult to do. So yeah, I can see that being a rift. And of course, but I'm also one of those people that I don't think you need to be in an alliance for life. I think there's stages of the game where you can go up and you can go down depending on how you feel, and you meet new people, you learn new things, and I don't think when alliances, nobody wants alliances to crumble, but
yeah,
it's okay. There's more people out there. There's a lot of options and a lot of different ways to play this game. But I've never gone into one of the line rooms and started talking smack because I did good in Alliance Quest.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think anyone does that. Because what are you doing?
During the war season, those line rooms light up.
Oh
it's
yeah,
fun.
Yeah,
they're so fun, man.
It's
so
the only
much
time you have to.
Well, and I think the other thing about Alliance Alliance Quest versus Alliance Map and that aspect of it is there is some things you control more in Alliance Wars, because placing defenders on certain nodes and having the right defenders ranked and I think you can say this, Pud, as an officer, that if you had an opportunity to get a rank 3 defender or a 5-star rank 5, I mean, I think it's the exact same defender. I think I know which one you're going to pick because it helps the alliance more. But it says a lot whenever you're having to organize those defenders, when you're having to pick the initial spots, whether it be the same the entire season or not. I mean, you have to decide based on your tactic you chose and the defenders you have to work with that you've picked and where you're going to put them. I mean, that is some bit of a strategy that really, like, you as one person kind of control the fate of that whole battle group in that aspect, and it gives a little bit more of a strategy for you. And then when it works out well, obviously, I'm sure you feel really good about it, don't you?
Absolutely, it's all part of it. So I don't handle defense. We have a guy who does that, Prager, and he does it, and he's serious about it. He pays
Yeah.
attention. He tracks where all the deaths come from, and he knows he's watching YouTube to see where other people have died and to see if there's anything tricky about a certain defender, a certain place. And as an alliance, we've made a commitment. Every single one of us has rank 3 6-stars that we only use for defense, and because they're not great anywhere else.
Right.
Whether it was a diversity move or they're actually a good defender. We've got 200 corks. They're only used in one spot.
Yeah.
They're not, and that's an easy one. But we have ones like my Terrax that he's a decent defender, but a diversity that I know I can stick it. That it's a commitment, and,
How much did
we
that
all make
sting,
it, not just
though?
officers.
How much did that
everybody's
sting?
asked to do that.
How much did that Terrax sting you?
It was also a prestige move too. I dumped a bunch of stones in when I did it because Silver Surfer isn't coming this way anytime soon.
Oh,
right. Slightly earlier, you also mentioned nerves of players. You notice when you watch the videos and that, but it's clear that there are people's nerves. My question is a bit further on that. How it is for you as an officer to go and bark at somebody for messing up or just flat out kicking them out, and how does that happen, and how do you manage people in general? How do you approach them to get to do the things that you want them to do, and then escalate the situations if it doesn't happen and stuff like that?
Yeah, for me, it's not barking at them. You're not going to see me in a line in all caps saying "Don't die" and this kind of thing, because no one's trying to die. It's trying to build up confidence before they ever got to that fight. Putting them into fights they've seen before, defenders they've seen before, and each of the last 3, 4, 5 seasons, we've had one guy in our alliance, in our battle group, that only does so many fights, and I haven't been able to find a guy who can take 2 fights of war successfully, because it's hard, because you only get those 2 fights and you got all those nerves bundled up into those 2 fights. You can't get into a rhythm, and even if they're not hard fights, they're not. I mean, I'm not giving that guy hard fights, but it's still a matter of building confidence and being ready when you need it. So you're just not going to see me yelling at somebody, threatening that I'm going to kick somebody. Unfortunately, I don't threaten you that I'm going to kick you, but sometimes I do have to kick them. It just happens.
So you're kind of silent about it. You say, do those fights, and he says, yeah, fine, I'm going to do them best, and I still mess up, and he keeps messing up. You're not going to have that another conversation like, look, man, you lost warning. You don't do that. You just say, bye.
No, there's a warning doesn't do any good. I'm going to build up confidence as much as I can, and I'm sure that there's other ways to do it, but my way is to build up your confidence. And if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that for the most part, we're all kind of adults when it comes down to this game too, where sometimes there's going to be times when the alliance itself and the player just aren't a right fit. And I think that it's not a blind side for the player if an officer or leadership is telling you that maybe you're not the right fit here. It's not a slight against them, but it's like sometimes you just have to know. And I don't think it ever comes out as blindsided. If there's somebody that's having struggles and you have tried to help them and whatnot, I don't think anybody that you've had to kick is really surprised. Am I right or am I wrong?
If they're surprised, if they're surprised, it's surprising to me. We've started where we're publishing the stats. So I've been keeping them for a long time, but we've started making sure everybody knows them and gets to look at them. So
Right.
The stats are there. So
You're looking at
Yeah,
the
numbers
stat
lie.
leader, by the way.
They don't lie, and if you want to stay in the top three, which we do, our goal is always top three. It's not even Masters; it's top three. You really need to be replacing one or two guys every season, with somebody who, up in your game, because I promise you that the guys around you are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, and people are going to get burned out, and people are going to change, and their lives change outside the game, and a lot of those are factors that make that
quite often is the voluntarily kind of like, I want to step back for a bit.
Yeah. But I mean, when you're playing at those high levels, sometimes you need that. You need a little bit of time away. I think everybody at some point in time has to step away, even if it's just because these seasons come so quickly. I mean, there's a 2-week break. And you think that in effect with doing, Alliance Quest 5 days a week, and if you want to take a vacation with your family or something, maybe you want to take time off from the game too. I mean, you may log on to get the rewards and stuff for the daily, but you may take a step back from being in the top 3. And I think if you leave on good terms, there's always a chance you could possibly come back too.
Hey, you got 2 weeks off in between seasons. You got to be planning those vacations accordingly.
That's exactly.
Yeah, but then
ASR is like you only take vacation time in off season.
Right, but then Kabam.
I got married a week ago. I mean,
oh
come
Lord,
on. That's commitment. Off season.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is then Kabam throws in we changed too many things this war season, so we're gonna make this one 3 weeks, and it screws everything up unless you planned it that first week. It screws everything up for the rest of the time. Then you have to plan another year ahead of time. You got to make sure your vacation still lines up on one of those 2 weeks off.
Oh yeah,
that would be bad.
Dude, he planned a fucking wedding for off season.
Yeah. I don't get me started. That's crazy that he did that. So it's a good thing I started playing this after I got married. Let me just say that, because the missus would have probably killed me.
No, because this came first, so she knows it comes with the territory.
Yeah, but the thing with me is my wife would not have gone that way had it been like. She's very understanding right now, but that's because I'm doing it after the fact. It's not interfering with her stuff.
Oh.
But yeah. And then let's kind of try and wrap it up. But this last question comes in. It says, what advice would you give someone who has been promoted to an officer and is just getting started?
Take a little time to learn what everybody can do. Don't try to rush in and establish, that you know what you're doing. Observe early, because you don't know this. I don't know the skill level of the people in the battle groups I'm not in. I don't see it every day. So take some time to learn your players long before you start telling them what to do and directing them. Just don't rush into it. This is the first thing I would say.
Okay. That's good to know. I think sometimes, especially if you're a new officer and you've got a lot of ideas, sometimes you want to implement a lot of things, but if you do it too quickly, it's just like you'd have to think of it the opposite way. If it's like if that's happening to you and someone comes in and a lot of changes start happening, sometimes they're a little more hesitant. One of the best things that
I can say about Panda, and the reason why he's my favorite officer, that's right, suck it, Praetor, and whoever else is fucking doing anything. The reason why he is my kind of like go-to officer is because he's always positive. I never have had like a single bad conversation with the guy, and even when something does go wrong, whatever, it's never kind of like, it never feels like menacing and threatening. Like I'm confident, let's say, enough in myself and my position in the alliance or whatever, and I also know that he understands that I'm in a right place, or what kind of place, whatever I'm in. But whenever I speak to him about any issue, it's never kind of like the conversation that's finished on bad terms, per se. Whether I do get and find out what I wanted to find out, or I don't, but whatever, but none of it is negative. And I think, especially for newer officers, that would be very important, because if my battle group would get a new officer that's all of a sudden starting to try and boss me around and tell me what to do, and I didn't really respect the guy, I'd tell him to sod off. Yeah. Something like that.
The other thing I would say about being a new officer is your role changes. If you've been the best fighter in your alliance and they name you as an officer, you can't take every hard fight. That's not really your job anymore. Your job is to put other people in positions to succeed. I don't get 6, 7 fights of war, 8 fights of war like I used to. It's not my job anymore. My job is to make sure that we get through as clean as possible. So as an officer, if it's an easy fight and you think it can, you know you can do it, but you know it might help somebody who's not getting a bunch of fights, let them have it.
Let me have it.
Exactly.
Right. Anything else you guys want to know before we end?
Yeah, we stretched
haven't
this
seen a
one
lot
out
of
a bit
questions.
longer. I knew this one's gonna go a bit in overtime, but
Yeah, well, we
last
kind of.
question in the chat. If anybody has anything before we kind of finish this off. And
I was trying to keep track of when questions came through, as difficult as it was, but that was the most recent one I saw.
yeah, and
I think we've covered a lot. If not, I mean, that may be it.
Yeah, I think that is fair enough then. You missed your chance, and that's your own fault. If you want to ask something, I'm sure either me or Pond will check out the comment section. So be free to leave a comment with a question if there's something you want to know. Other than that, let's say huge thank you to Pond. Let me know if you guys want him back on the podcast. I think we had a very interesting conversation. I'd definitely love to have him back at some time as well. And as always, let's say huge thank you to Mandalorian for being here with us.
Yep. Always a pleasure. Always happy. And I thank you again, Pud, for being here and taking our abuse today, especially KT's. I know you already have to deal with him, and now you have to deal with him just on a completely different thing. So
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Right, and
absolutely.
Yeah, see you in exactly 1 week from now. See ya.
Oh, we don't have an update yet on the audio version for podcasts, but we are looking into it. We've just been a little busy this week.
Yep.
We'll find out for you, Shazad.
All right. See you guys. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the...
Peace out, fellas.